I knew from the beginning that Michael had a good relationship with Jane, but I didn't think it was that good. When I found out that she chose the engagement ring for me, I went crazy, writes Claudia in a letter to our editorial office. A woman broke off her engagement and cannot understand her boyfriend's behavior. I don't think I've ever felt as hurt, cheated, confused, and scared as I did at that moment. At first, I thought it was a bad dream or a stupid joke. After all, it can't be honest that a guy and his ex choose a ring for their current love. My Michael, meanwhile, saw nothing wrong or strange about it. My sister thinks what Michael did is worse than cheating. He allowed his ex to become a part of our lives and relationship. Instead of ending the relationship or distancing himself, he moves closer and closer to her. On the other hand, Mom says that I exaggerate and make a pitchfork out of the needle because nothing terrible has happened. And I should be glad he proposed to me instead of looking for a hole in the whole thing. And I don't know what to think about it. On the one hand, I have nothing against Agatha. She's a nice girl. Under other circumstances, I might even be friends with her. On the other hand, I know her relationship with Michael fell apart because of their differences. They couldn't get along and decided it would be better to end it. There were no dramas, no regrets, and no complaints. I knew they would never get back together because neither wanted to. Still, I felt uneasy seeing how well they got along. It was weird. It also hurt me that she had known him longer and better, and I had only recently arrived. Michael has repeatedly assured me that I have nothing to fear because Agatha is like a sister to him. Probably not, since he used to sleep with her. There is no such past with siblings. The three of us saw each other for a while. Still, the atmosphere during these meetings became increasingly awkward week after week. I couldn't be friends with his ex, though Jane really tried. She was nice to me, and not for show, but in a sincere way. But that didn't help because she was still his ex, the girl he'd once loved, slept with and planned a future with. I admit that I breathed a sigh of relief when these three of us meetings ended. Were the two seeing each other? I don't know. I didn't ask. I was afraid of the answer. I preferred to believe that their relationship had slackened. I didn't feel neglected. Everything was fine in our relationship. Michael spent a lot of time with me. He rarely went out alone. So I figured Jane was behind us. I was wrong. Michael proposed to me in our rented apartment. He prepared a candlelit dinner, and when we had finished eating, he knelt in front of me and asked if I would marry him. I was stunned for a moment, and then, of course, I agreed. I was happy with him, and even though we didn't talk about it, I felt it was only a matter of time before we married because we both wanted it. So, on the one hand, I was a bit surprised by the proposal, but on the other, I knew that this moment would come sooner or later. It was a unique, very intimate moment, or so I thought. I was glad Michael didn't propose to his family or friends or in public. I just wanted it to be ours. And she, or rather they, destroyed it. They took away the most beautiful moment of my life. I found out about everything in the same week. We sat with friends and played board games. At some point, the subject of our engagement began. Someone asked if I liked the ring. I replied that it was beautiful and that Michael was perfect for my taste. I think Jane, said my boyfriend's friend then. From the look on his face, I realized he had slipped and wasn't supposed to say it. When I looked at the rest of my friends, I realized that everyone knew about it except me. I felt like an idiot but decided to put on a good face for a bad game. It wasn't until we left that I asked Michael if it was true. He nodded and quickly wondered if it was a problem. At that moment, I burst into tears. Of course, it was a problem. The fact that he's dating an ex, and that's hiding it from me, is one thing. I might have swallowed it. But the fact that his ex was involved in our engagement is not. He'd probably invite her to the wedding, too. And then maybe he chose a godmother for our child? I felt betrayed and humiliated. He was supposed to choose this ring for me, not her. She shouldn't be in this story at all. I told Michael the first didn't want to live in such a triangle. And that I don't trust him anymore. Even if he and Jane are just friends, their friendship bothers me. And he understood nothing. He stared at me with wide-eyed confusion. He really didn't know what I meant or why I was mad. Finally, he apologized, but I felt it wasn't sincere. Michael was sure he hadn't done anything wrong. She started with an apology and assured her that there was nothing between her and Michael. She swore they were just friends, and I believed her. But it bothered me anyway. I didn't want my boyfriend to be friends with my ex, talk to her about me, our engagement, or pick out a ring with her. Some other girls may be able to accept it. But it was too much for me. Michael was also texting me, calling my sister, and begging for another chance. I'd give it to him if he'd only promised to sever all contact with Jane. But nothing of the sort came out of his mouth. It's been a few months since we broke up, and I'm slowly regaining my composure. But it still hurts so bad that Michael gave up on me for a girl he doesn't even want to be with.